Hey guys, so if you want to see how I got on with the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Armed and Gorgeous palette, as well as find out what Morphe had to say to me about the sticker batch code situation, just keep on watching. Alrighty then, so we're having a look at and trying on the Armed and Gorgeous palette. I don't know why I keep on doing this, because when I look at the footage you can't actually see what is on the top. So this is what the palette looks like. This is the one that I'm leaving till last. This is the one that had the sticker at the back. We will be discussing my conversation with Morphe. Something that I forgot to mention when I was doing the swatches for this palette is that the smell of it, it almost smells like menthol. I don't know why, but it does. So I'm gonna go in with Access, and I don't know if it's just the mattes or if it's the shimmers or if it's both, but yeah, it smells like menthol, and the other palettes don't smell that way. If you have this Vault or just this palette, can you tell me if your one has a smell? Like the other palettes, they don't, like the most that they smell like is just of makeup and makeup chemicals and stuff like that, but this one, it's a bit strange. Okay, this shade is coming up very patchy. The thing is though, is that with yellows, not just with yellow in Morphe palettes, but just yellows period, even like my faves, Juvias Place, their ones, Smooth Criminal is what I'm going to use next. Their ones are quite patchy as well. They're yellows. Okay, this yellow and this brown don't want to go together. This brown seems to be a lot like some of the other eyeshadows that I've tried in the other palettes, where once you've placed it, it does not want to move. With a little bit of work it does move, but again, I shouldn't have to do so much work just to make it work or just to make it move. It should just move, but it doesn't. I'm going to use a little bit more of that yellow Access just to blend out the edges a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Now I'm going to go in with Coin, and I'm not going to wet my brush. I'm just going to use a dry brush. Two palettes I already used, the shimmers, and I used a wet brush. And then the last palette that I used, I didn't use a wet brush, and I'm going to do the same with this one. Now this shimmer, Coin, is just like a glitter to me. It just seems so glittery. The color of it is really nice, and you can build it up. And I guess if you were using a setting spray, there's so much fallout all over me. Going in with Prowl. Okay, this shadow doesn't really want to go over the shimmer, but I find that with a lot of mattes, they don't really, it takes a while for them to show up over a shimmer. I guess the consistencies are different. I'm gonna put a smooth layer over a more gritty layer. I'm not really that much of a fan of this, to be 100% honest with you. Okay, I'm gonna go in with Secure. I like the way that this one lays down. This is more of an orangey yellow. They've got another yellow called Agent here, and it's kind of like in between Secure and Access. And I remember saying in my first video that I just don't feel like it was necessary for them to have three yellows, especially three which are so similar to one another, because this one's kind of like in between the two of them. It's just kind of like, what is the use? So now I'm going to go with Top Secret here. I love this army green kind of colour. With my eyes closed, it looks really nice, but when I open up my eye, it's kind of like, oh, I'm not feeling it. Now I'm going to use Classified. Oh, and I forgot to say that coin, that shimmer that we just used, is very, very, very hard pressed. Again, just like some of the other eyeshadows, some of the other shimmer shadows that I tried. Oh my god, there's so much fallout with this shadow, but the payoff is nice. Can't deny that the payoff is good. Yeah, it's just kind of like a glitter bomb. It's just so much glitter, just goes everywhere. Oh my gosh. Then I'm gonna go back in with Top Secret and just dispense that all over the inner and outer. And just along the top, but it doesn't really want to stick. This is something that I've seen other people complain of, is that it's not sticking down. It's like there's this patchiness. The thing is, the shadow itself, that green, that army mossy green, it's really nice. It just doesn't want to play ball though. It just... Oh, and just to say, because I remember I mentioned yesterday about the Logan Paul KSI fight, and Deji and Jake Paul, unfortunately Jake Paul won, and with the Logan Paul KSI fight, it was a draw. I kind of think that it was a little bit of a fix, because they were talking about rematches before they even got in the ring to have this boxing match. It's like, why are we talking about rematches before we even have this one? But I feel like all four performed amazingly. Like, all four contenders were amazing in the ring. I don't know if you guys are into boxing. I'm only really into it because my son does boxing, and you know, this was four of the biggest YouTubers fighting, and especially as Logan Paul is so hated, everybody wanted to see him get his ass whooped. Right, I'm gonna stop here. Let's have a discussion. Right, so let's start off with my thoughts on the Armed and Gorgeous palette. So this was the one that I waited until last to try. This, I feel like the colors that they've chosen do go well together in the pans. I kind of don't feel like they work very well together on the eyes though, and I feel like that's only because of the quality. Like the browns don't really want to work together well with the yellows, orange kind of shades. The glitters, or the glitters, they're not even glitters, they're shimmers, but they feel like glitters, because as soon as I pick them up on my brush, it's just like poof, a ton of glitter, shimmer everywhere. Like, my clothes are just completely ruined. That's okay because I can put it in the wash. I mean, it's not a big deal and I'm not going nowhere. But also, it's like with this Prowl color, it's like where you put it, that's where it stays. It doesn't really want to blend out that much. Another situation that I've had with other palettes in the Vault collection. Also with this one here, Top Secret, I absolutely adore the color. I feel like it's such a beautiful army green, mossy green. It's beautiful, but trying to build up that opacity, it's a little bit of a struggle. And for someone like me, who in the morning, I don't have that much time to be faffing around with makeup. I just want to put it on my face, I need to get out the door. I would have to take extra time to build it up, to blend it out, to do this, to do that. And that means that I'm not going to be reaching for this palette as often or on an everyday basis. I can use my Juvias palettes on an everyday basis because I know that I can just put them on, I can make a sickening eyeshadow look, but I'm not sitting there messing around with it for ages and ages and ages and ages. But it looks like I've been there for a long time, finessing it and doing this, that and the other, but in reality I haven't. This I would have to definitely build up and make it work, and I'm not down for that. Use 7 out of the 10 shades, which isn't bad. I don't feel like this is the best in the bunch. My fave is most definitely the Bling Boss palette, and I have used it since shooting with it. Absolutely adore it. I really do like it. I'm not saying that it's perfect, it's not by any means, but it's the best one for me out of all 4 of the palettes. I kind of feel like if you were investing in one of them, this would probably be the better one to go for. But you've got to take into consideration that just because I like this shade selection, you might like the shade selection in the Armed and Gorgeous, therefore you might want to get this one. But I just, in my opinion, I don't feel like the quality and the payoff is as good as the ones in here. Like, there's more hits and misses, there's more misses in this palette than there are in this palette, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me get to what Morphe had to say about the Armed and Gorgeous palette with the batch code sticker over another batch code. So when I first got this palette, I did mention that this one has a sticker for the batch code, and underneath it, it has another batch code. Since having a look, I have found that on the back of the actual box, there is another batch code, AB06H, which is the same batch code as the rest of them, but underneath there's another batch code, which isn't even the same batch code that's underneath this one. It's a completely different batch code, but they've used the 2 stickers to try and keep everything together and keep everything uniform. So anyway, I reached out to Morphe to ask them about batch codes and that situation, because the batch codes are definitely something that everybody's a little bit worried and concerned about. So I'm going to tell you what they had to say. So I'm going to read it out. So my original email says, "Hi, I recently got my order of the Vault. Why is there a sticker with a batch code over a print of a different batch code on the back of the Armed and Gorgeous palette? Is this the old palettes? Pictures attached." And I showed 2 pictures. One just with the palette with the picture of the sticker, and another picture of me like just pulling up the sticker, revealing the other batch code underneath. Their response to me was, "Thank you for your email. Whether you bought the Vault at Morphe or the individual palettes," well, of course I bought it at Morphe. I'm from the UK. Where else would I have got it from? "You can be sure that you got our new production. Some of our palettes and boxes say V2 and others do not. This code does not mean a palette is new or old. All of the Vault palettes being sold are new production, and we stand by their quality 100%. Now, I never mentioned the V2 code, which is that little code there at the corner. I mentioned this, okay? So I went back to them and I said, "I didn't mention the V2 code, which shows that you didn't read my question or look at the pictures that I provided. I asked, why is there a sticker with a batch code and underneath is another batch code? So is this the old or new batch?" Now you could say, well, they've already answered the question because they already said that everything is new production. But again, I never said nothing about the V2 code. I want you to address the sticker situation that I've actually mentioned. So they said, "Hello, the code or sticker does not mean that they are old or new batches, and they will all new products. They will all new products." Wow. "You may provide us a photo of the palette received so we may confirm the batch received." Now, didn't I already say that I have provided pictures? And then in my second email, didn't I say that you never even looked at my pictures? And now you're telling me I must provide pictures. I've already given you pictures and I have referenced the pictures. So I've just messaged them back saying, "I already sent pictures in my original email. Please look at them and get back to me." I feel like the customer service from Morphe is completely whack. It's completely whack. Like, I understand that being a customer service agent doing email, it is high pressure, because I've worked as a customer service agent where I had to answer emails, do live chat and answer the phones simultaneously. I could be on the phone to one person, writing an email to another person and saying hello on live chat to another person. That's high pressure, but I don't think that they're even doing that because their phone lines don't work, not the ones here in the UK that they've provided. They don't have a live chat service on their website, their UK website. So I don't really understand what it is that is so difficult when it comes to just reading the email and answering the question that I've actually asked. Now, also, they're saying you can provide a photo of the palette received so that they can confirm the batch. But if you've already said that it's brand new, why would you need to then confirm the batch? Wouldn't it have already been confirmed because you've said that it's a new palette? So why would you need to then go ahead and confirm the batch? You're just going to look at the photo and say, oh yeah, I've confirmed that it's new. It all really doesn't fall in line for me. Apparently, they have said that if people are unhappy with their palettes, that they can return them. And I feel like this is a good thing, but it's at the same time a bad thing, because it's a good thing because if people aren't happy with it, they should have an opportunity to return it. Considering all of the kerfuffle and confusion and foolery that's gone on, you should be able to return it if you're unhappy, because to be honest, people are losing faith in the product. They're confused about whether or not it's brand new or not. They're not too sure whether or not they can take Morphe's word for it, especially as they won't release the batch codes. Like, everything would just be so much simpler and would get Morphe out of the doghouse if they were to just provide the batch codes, but they won't. The reason why I feel like it's not a good thing is because it almost sounds like they are not standing by the fact that their items are new. But I know that in the States you're allowed to return your stuff if you really want to. So it's not the same over here. We can only really return it if it's broken. Anyway, aside from that, they've since gone on to release or preview the Jaclyn Hill brush collection, and I just kind of feel like, again, really, like, I feel kind of like Jaclyn Hill, we only really hear from her when she's trying to sell us something, and I'm kind of like not here for it. I was debating whether or not I should get the original palette that she has, and I'm kind of decided like, no, I don't really want it. Since there's been a lawsuit between Becca and Morphe, apparently they settled out of court. That's just and that was over the artwork for the front of the palettes. I'm just like, that's got nothing to do with us as such, but it just counts towards the character of a company. I don't believe that Morphe destroyed their old batch and within a month and a half got all new palettes created, like reformulated, tested, approved, hundreds of thousands of them remade, assembled, sent over from China, all within a month and a half. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I feel like they made it out like, say they were going to do something and they just didn't do it. I think they wanted to make themselves look a certain way, and I think they wanted to like buy a little bit of time while they were going through their lawsuit and the situation with Becca, to be fair. That's what I think. And especially as now we've learned that they have actually settled out of court, it's like, no, you just delayed it so that you could figure out what you guys were going to do about the situation. Somebody asked me, how do I feel like the $49 price tag for the 4 palettes is worth it? Now, considering that you don't ever have to pay full price when it comes to Morphe, because they've got like 1,000,001 influencer codes floating around, and even some codes which aren't for influencers. Like my one was makeup. I don't think that that's an influencer code. I think it's just a discount code that they have. So you can get it 10% off. So that brought it down to £44.10. And when you divide that by the 4 palettes, that is what, £11 each. And that's around Revolution chocolate bar palette prices. Their ones are about what? About £10 basically. So for £11, a pound more, you're getting one of these palettes. The Revolution palettes are, like, their shadows are hit and miss with a lot of them. Some of their palettes are a little bit hit and miss. And I feel like this kind of follows suit. It's a little bit hit and miss. I think the only thing that kind of works against it is the fact that it has Jaclyn Hill's name on it. So you would expect for it to be a lot better than it actually is. I feel like this formula is a lot better than their regular formula, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it should have been a lot better than what it turned out to be. When Thomas Halbert did his review on the old versus new, he was kind of like, it's the same thing. And a lot of the shadows that didn't move before, they're not moving now. A lot of the shadows which were bright then are bright now. A lot of the shadows which were, you know, not blending out or or just not giving that opacity. It's the same now. I thought it's just the same. It's the same, especially when I watch all of these videos where they are able to show the new versus old, and it's like, okay, and mine are performing in the exact same manner. I'm sorry, but no, I don't believe it for a moment. I feel like we did get the old palettes, and probably once they've run out of all of these ones, they might have a new formulation and put those ones out. But these, to me, I feel like they just sold us the same thing from before, and they just wanted to have a little bit of a break before they put them out because of the lawsuit. Simple as. So those are all of my videos about the Jaclyn Hill Vaults palettes. I'll leave all of the videos linked down below so you can see my tutorials and thoughts on each palette, like each individual one, all linked down below. Tell me what you thought of yours, if you did get them or if you got the individuals. Like, what do you think? I will let you know what Morphe say down in the description box when I receive an additional response in regards to the batch code, like the confirmation of the batch code. At this point, I know that they're just gonna say, yes, it's new, I can confirm that it's new. That's all they're gonna say to me. But aside from that, they have basically said, you know, they're new, not old. We have no evidence of that. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.